Hey everyone, Eski here again with another game gym workout. Today will be a direct continuation of my last video about off angles, so if you haven't watched that video, I recommend that you do so. Before we start talking about what lanes actually are, let's get into our warm-up. For this warm-up, we'll be doing a tracer pathing quiz on First Point Blizzard World. Where do you think we should walk in order to cause the enemies to have to move somewhere else? Keep this in mind because we'll come back to this example for the end of the workout. The first thing to discuss is what the term lane means. Remember when we talked about off angles in our last video? What off angles usually travel through is a lane, or a path which one can get to the point or a certain location. Let's look at an example using a different map than our warm-up. Today we'll be looking at Busan. We can see that there are usually around 3 or 4 different routes a player can take to get to the point or a location like a med kit. Being able to know that these lanes exist can make it way easier for you to know where to check for flankers and make you less likely to be caught off guard. We'll talk about how to use these lanes from a defensive position first. Since we know that someone might be using a lane nearby to get an angle on us, it's really important to pan, which means to keep looking around to check these lanes to see if anyone is there. If you find someone, you don't need to chase the player down, but getting in damage can make it so that person has to leave the lane or face elimination. As well as if you are aware of that flank, you're less likely to get picked. Remember on defense, if you cannot kill something, it's better to deny their approach. This means making them use cooldowns or causing damage to them that would prevent them from what they want to do. This prevents the attack from properly setting up, which makes them waste more time. Now let's talk about attack. Finding a lane in order to create pressure can be hard, because unless they're not watching you, you're contested in some way. So being able to identify where you can go without having to sacrifice health should be the first thing you think of. While you're in your lane, it's important to keep moving, so the amount of time the enemy has to search for you is small, giving you more time to disappear, or making your location unknown. A trap that I see a lot of players fall into is that they're subject to tunnel vision, or trying to force a play. Remember that just being in a spot that isn't known is creating value. An important thing to make a habit when taking these types of off angles is that if you can't kill them, it's better to live and waste their time. Lanes are incredibly powerful and can be used to influence the enemy into moving to places that would leave them at a disadvantage. We talked previously about what pressure is and how it can be used to force people to take cover or run away just because they're unable to stay in the area without threat of elimination. Being able to create this pressure from a place that they're not looking can lead to a pinch, meaning that you on this flank have a perfect shot at their backs, while your core, or main team, shoots them from the front, leaving your enemies nowhere to run. Now that we talked about how lanes work, let's go back to our warm-up and see what kind of route this tracer should take to provide their team with the most value. First, our opponents are sitting at the top right high ground, with us just about to break the first choke. Where should this tracer go in order to force the enemy to move back to point? Got your answer? Okay, let's talk about what we should do. We should use our cooldowns to force the left lane and take cover in the building that's there. This way, we have full access to the point with minimal risk. Another more risky way to go about it is to go on the right side and path all the way behind them, cutting off their escape. We have now reached the end of our workout. Remember, if you want a VOD review or just talk Overwatch, feel free to DM me in the Game Gym Discord. This has been Eski with Game Gym. I hope to see you in the next workout.